Hello everyone. In this video, we'll be talking about workflows. In the first video, the general overview video, we covered the very basics. But in this video, we'll be showing you a couple of examples where you can build your own custom and advanced workflows for your use case. Okay, so just a quick recap. Workflows are essentially a place where you can build templates, and templates are predefined workflows for different use cases. And out of the box, you can see we have different categories for different templates. So we've got marketing, we've got social media, email, so on and so forth. However, this is just the very beginning of what you can do. So these are predefined ones, but we can always build our own ones. So to start off, I'd like to show you how you can build a cover letter writer. So let's say you're applying for jobs and you want to write a cover letter for each different job based on your CV, right? So that's the first example. And the second example, we'll be showing you the more advanced functionality of building something like a news summarizer and forming it into a newsletter. And you can do this in just a single click by the end of this tutorial. Okay, so one thing we didn't show you before is this custom prompt option. So all of these are predefined templates, as I mentioned, but let's say there isn't a particular template that's already there for you. This is one way to start, which is through custom prompt. And a custom prompt is essentially a blank slate where you can just add an instruction and then just get the output by clicking generate, right? However, we can always customize this in various different ways. So, and this applies to any template, by the way, but if you click on this button here, this edit button, this allows you to control things like the name of this particular step. So let's call this cover letter, right? Let's just leave this as is. And we can control the different inputs and the prompts associated with that particular step. So at this moment, we have just one input, which is the prompt input. But let's say we want to create a cover letter writer where we have two pieces of information. We have the job description and we have our CV. So I've got an example here, which I've already highlighted and copied for a job. So if I copy this, I'll have it copied. This is the job for a software engineering role, okay? And I have this CV, kind of imagining this is my CV. And we want to create a way to very easily just paste in the job description, click generate, and get the perfect cover letter. Okay, so if we go back, we have two inputs in mind. And the way to add inputs is through the syntax of square brackets. So here we have prompt, but we can change this to something like job description. And if we click away, you can see this has been updated to job description. And here are the inputs we've defined. So let's just form this into a prompt which can help us write a cover letter. So we can say the following is a job description for a software engineering role. Then I can say, this is my CV. And we can add an input by doing this square bracket. We can name it as add a CV. If we click away, we can see we have two inputs now. Now there are predefined types of inputs which can be viewed here. So we can have language. So this will use whatever language you have defined in your settings. You've got tone, which shows you a voice dropdown. You've got length. This will show like a slider to control if it's a short, medium, or long type of output. And we've got step. Now, step is something we'll talk about in the next example, but let's leave this for now. Okay, so this is my CV. And then we can say, write a cover letter based on the job description above. Write it in an engaging way, referencing the skills in my CV. For example, okay, we can just say cover letter, so it just knows to write it just below. And we have different options here as well. So we can control whether it's a long text box. So because it's a job description and we saw that it's a lot of text, we can click long text box. And we know a CV here is going to be something like a PDF or a file. So we can say add file and URLs. Now, before we go to the template, there's additional options we can control, like the parameters. So this allows us to control things like creativity, how likely it is to repeat certain words. If you hover over this description here, it will give you a bit more detail about what this is about. And finally, we can also give an example output. So it understands the structure and format the output should be. Okay, so once we're done, we can look at our template. And now this is pretty much ready. So if I paste in this job description here, and I add my CV, we've got both of them added. All I need to do is just click generate. I'm just going to change the model type to quality mode and run. And there we have it. So it's written a full description referencing the different skills, HTML5, CSS, JavaScript, the details of my professional journey. I look forward to the opportunity. So it seems like it's done a pretty good job. Now, of course, this is done very quickly, and you can always adjust the prompt to really tune it to your particular needs. Now, from here, we can either add this straight to our editor, we can save this, which goes into our Save tab, and so on. But let's explore a more complex type of task, which is the newsletter one. So if we go back, we also have the option to build a template. And by the way, you can also save this as a template if you want to. If you click here and then click Save Workflow, we can say cover letter, click Save. And if we go to templates, we should see Mike Workflows has this workflow we just built. Okay, but let's create a new workflow. This shows us different options here. And this is where you can really tap into the more advanced type of functionality. So you can create, and you can start off with an existing template for the templates list that we have. You can use the custom prompt, but you also have search capabilities. So you can search the web. So this searches things like Google, YouTube, Google News. You can scrape pages or YouTube videos. You can smart search, and smart search allows you to retrieve information from files and URLs stored in your knowledge base. And we have different functions that help assemble this workflow. And we've got this button here also, which allows us to create multiple steps within our workflow. So for this particular example, we're building a newsletter. And we can just save it as that, save. And we have also the same type of interface here. So we're building a newsletter, which needs to first search the web. Okay, so we're trying to get news on a certain topic, summarize that news, and then package it as a newsletter. So the first step is to search the web. And we have the option here to choose the data source. We have Google, News, and YouTube. And then here we just need to add the topic we're looking to search. And the second step, what we most likely want to do, is to read the pages that we've searched. Just to illustrate this, let's say we're searching for news on artificial intelligence. And if we search, you can see it's returned different links that we can use. But let's choose news for this. Okay, so it's returned different links from news articles. And one way to do this is click Scrape Page. And here we can add a URL and the action we want to perform on that URL. Now, the very simplistic way and naive way of doing this is just copy a URL, add it here, and say, I want to, for example, extract certain information or summarize this page. For this example, we want to summarize this page. Okay, and I can run this and it will analyze specifically this URL. But this can be very tiresome because you might have a lot of links that you want to access. Instead, we have this special syntax specifically for using the output on the previous step as an input in this step. Okay, so the most basic version of this is this format here, which is step_1, right? Because this is step 2 and this is step 1. So whatever the output of step 1 is will go as an input into this field here. Okay, but this is a special case because we don't want all of this to go as a URL because we have multiple URLs here, but instead we want to split by each line. Okay, so to do this, we can do comma, split by _line. And what this means is now what goes into the field is each line split and goes directly into this field. We also have additional control we can add optionally if you do comma, and you can say I want lines 1, 2, let's say 4. Okay, so this gets me the first 4 lines. So what this will do is it will loop over this particular function, which is scraping and summarizing. It will run this on this step, and then this step, and then this, and then this, and then it stops running. And every answer is below the other with a hashtag in between. And you'll see this in a second. So we have this special syntax, right? So we have step underscore the step number. Then we have step underscore number, and then split by line. There's also the option to split by a list. So if you have a list, and a list, you'll know if you see this particular format. And you can also split by whatever you want actually. So if you do split by underscore, and if you have like a hashtag, then it will split by the hashtag, or split by, let's say, the word XYZ. So if you find XYZ written somewhere, it will split by it. Let's just follow along and just see what happens now. So if I click Analyze, this will run over each line up until line 4. Okay, and here we can see the output from each line is shown here. So, and separated by a hashtag. So this is result 1, this is result 2, this is result 3, and result 4. But of course, we want to use this information as a way to create like a newsletter, right? So to do this, if there is an existing template for this, then great. But if not, that's not a problem because we can use the custom prompts option. So if we choose custom prompt, and here we can use this syntax again, right? So we can say the following are summaries from various news articles. And we can do step underscore, and it's step 2. A different way to do this is accessing it through the plus, and it gives you a small snippet of what's actually in that answer. Okay, so the article discusses and you can see here at the beginning is article discusses, just helps you find the step that you want. Okay, so let's just here, and it will just add it. You can just remove that. And then here we can give the actual instruction. We can say, write a newsletter based on the above summaries. Make sure it's engaging. Okay, so just keep it kind of simple. We can always change that later. We can say newsletter, just to know to write it just below. Okay, and now maybe let's change this to quality mode and click generate. Okay, and here it's generated our newsletter for us, which summarizes pretty much everything we've had in that answer here, but in a more user-friendly way. And as a first draft, that's great. And one way to accelerate this further is I can just collapse this. And we have this button here, which allows me to just run all the steps in one go. So I can save this, right? So let's see if it's already saved. Yep, it's already saved here. If let's say I want to do this for a different topic, all I need to do is just change this topic here and then click run all steps, and it will do it automatically for me. And that's the power of workflows, where you define things, you link the steps together, and the steps are linked when you see this particular symbol here, which tells you that it's connected to a previous step. You can see step 2. Once things are linked together, you can run all of them in just one go and automate that and save a lot of time instead of looking at each page individually, analyzing it, so on and so forth. And this is just one example. There's a lot of different examples you can do. As I mentioned, you've got different actions as well, which allow you to retrieve information from any files or any documents that you might have. You can define context, and the context just serves as a way, and just to show you, as a way to add some information. And you can use this type of syntax to reference it in other steps, right? So I can here I can, for example, add a list of URLs. So if I have my own custom URLs and I don't want to do this search thing, I can do this, and then I can get rid of this step and then just go ahead with the normal workflow as it is. I hope this has been helpful. We'll be making lots of videos on different examples for different types of template that you might want to build. And if you have any suggestions, please send them our way, and we'll see how we can help you build them.